Hi, my name's Laura Bicker and I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner in the northeast of England. I've been helping couples on fertility journeys for almost 20 years now. And one of the things that comes up a lot in clinic is fear. Women are always asking me, if I do this, could this potentially affect my chances of conception, or is it going to risk my pregnancy? The first thing I always say is, if a seed of doubt comes up, don't do it. Because if you do, you could potentially look back and think, what if I hadn't done that? Now, I love using essential oils in my clinic. I like making blends for my patients, and I have blends that I use when women are going through IVF. And they like using them outside of the treatment room, but often questions come up again around this fear of, are essential oils safe? Because again, there's often a lot of conflicting advice out there and it's adding a lot of confusion and stress. So let's dig into things and get a little bit more detail. So what I wanted to start with was some of the oils that people are doubtful about, one of which is bergamot. Now, citrus oils in general can contain something called bergaptin. And where this doubt comes from is the research into bergaptin showed that when rats are exposed to bergaptin, they have a lower number of pups. And so this was then translated into, could this potentially affect a woman in terms of conception with follicular development or number of embryos produced? But when you dig into the data, what it shows is that the doses that rats are exposed to in terms of bergaptin are very high. And if you then translate that dose into what you would have to take as a human, it becomes a ridiculous amount. So overall, we know that essential oils like bergamot are safe. And it's not just bergamot that contains bergaptin, it's all the citrus oils at varying degrees. So citrus oils are safe. If you want to alleviate that ultimate seed of doubt, what you can do is buy what's called bergaptin-free bergamot. And this is one of the things I do in my blends. I'll always use the bergaptin-free just so you've got ultimate peace of mind. But one thing that you do need to be mindful of with citrus oils is their photosensitivity action that they can have. So if you were to put essential oils on your skin, particularly if you've got sensitive skin, they could irritate you. But if you then go out into the sunlight, some of the oils can increase photosensitivity, meaning that it may then cause blistering or a reaction on the skin where you have applied it. So bergamot though, you can use safely and it's a wonderful oil. We use it a lot with essential oil blends because quite often it makes everything smell wonderful. So go for the bergaptin free if you feel uncomfortable. Another oil that is a classic oil and again has fantastic benefits is lavender. The reason there is some fear around lavender is that there is a particular strain called the Spanish lavender which can have quite high content of something called camphor. So most lavender strains are okay. And even with Spanish lavender, you would have to be exposed to quite a high volume of it to have an effect. So again, how we use the oil and the dose is quite important. But if you want ultimate kind of confidence, what you can do is avoid the Spanish lavender. But it brings me to the first oil that I want you to definitely avoid, and that is camphor. So natural camphor, we know, can have an effect on the central nervous system and it can cross the placenta. And we know this because babies have actually been born smelling of camphor when their mothers have consumed large doses. It's also been found in brain tissue, and so this is how we know that it can then move around the body and access the central nervous system. So camphor, you'll often find it in treatments for like musculoskeletal pain, and we have natural camphor in the evil bone water that I use quite a lot, and it is a fantastic thing, particularly the natural camphor. But for peace of mind, if you're trying to conceive and you're perhaps in a period where you'd be thinking, am I pregnant, like the 2-week wait, or you are pregnant, I would just avoid using camphor altogether, and then that's going to give you ultimate peace of mind. The next oil that I would definitely avoid is sage. Again, we're going for that ultimate peace of mind here because there are different strains of sage, and there's one particular strain called Dalmatian sage, which has very high amounts of the active component that we're trying to avoid. And so take sage out of the equation. Now, the reason we're avoiding sage is because, again, it has an effect on the nervous system. And what it can do is it can block what's called the GABA receptors. So again, these oils are most often an issue when conception has occurred during pregnancy. But let's take oil away, sage oil away as oil number 2. The third oil that I would suggest that you completely avoid is cinnamon oil. Now, again, it's particularly cinnamon bark oil that is the issue, but if you just don't use cinnamon oil, you're going to have ultimate peace of mind. The reason we don't use cinnamon oil is, again, because we know it can be neurotoxic, so it can have issues affecting the nervous system. And if you're diabetic, it can also have an impact of lowering the blood sugar. And it also has an impact on the blood that can potentially create an issue if you've got cardiovascular disease. Now, the likelihood of you being exposed to these doses, again, is going to relate to how you take it. But for peace of mind, we're going to take all of these oils, camphor, sage, and cinnamon, out of the equation. Now, when I talk about things like sage and cinnamon, obviously these are herbs that we use in cooking. And in that format, I would say you don't have to be concerned. Unless you were going to eat massive doses of these herbs, then the likelihood of you being exposed to those actual constituents that are within the essential oil that is drawn out of these products is very, very low. Because if you think about how much sage or how much cinnamon has to be used to produce a small amount of essential oil, what is left in the amounts that you're consuming is minuscule. So don't worry about any of the things when they're in that format that you're going to consume within your diet. The caveat there is if you are diabetic, having large amounts could potentially be an issue. So just do your research. And I think being proactive, looking things up can be really, really helpful. Now, the oils that I want to talk about that you can definitely use and use with confidence include peppermint. I love peppermint oil. It's so cheap and easy to get hold of. Again, think about quality, do your research, look at the strains, what are the best strains for whatever you're trying to work with, or do you just like the smell? Go for the best quality you can where you can. But peppermint oil is very easy to make. You know, peppermint grows very, very abundantly. If you plant it, it will take over your garden. And so it's a cheap and easy oil to access. The reason I love peppermint so much is because of its action of opening up what we describe as opening the orifices in Chinese medicine. Now, you know, when you brush your teeth or you use a mint, you can suddenly breathe more easily. And this is because it's opening up the nasal pathways. So on top of its action of opening up the orifices, it also helps clear phlegm heat. So if you're congested and you've got coloured mucus, peppermint oil can really help you. And when you're trying to conceive, very often you'll want to try and avoid over-the-counter medications. So peppermint oil could be a useful alternative for you to use at home to perhaps make you feel more comfortable. If you're congested, you can put it in an atomizer or, you know, steam your face, putting your face over a bowl with a towel. But it also has this amazing property of moving the qi in the body. So we talk about moving the qi, getting the energy moving. If you're very tense, you're going to have like constriction within the body. You know, if you tense up your shoulders, which we often do when we're stressed, your muscles are tight, the blood, the energy in the body is not able to move as easily. So peppermint oil, because it has this opening action, helps the circulation to flow better. So you can use it when you feel tense, and in that respect it can help when you've got tension headaches, or I use it quite a lot with my patients who are going through IVF. When they've got a headache, they often get these really awful frontal headaches here from the medication. So peppermint oil can be a really valuable element in your toolkit. Another oil that I would absolutely advocate you to use is geranium. Geranium oil is lovely. It's got this soft, floral, spicy aroma, and it has this wonderful effect in Chinese medicine of clearing heat, moistening the body, but also having this really synergistic effect on the energy. So what that means is it can help increase the qi, the blood, so it energizes you. But we also know that geranium is fantastic for the nerves. So we use it when there's neurological pain, but also if you're a nervous person, again, it has this lovely calming action. And because it's a nice fragrance, you can use it in an atomizer to make your home smell nice, and it's going to create a lovely calming environment as well. So peppermint, geranium, and lavender, going back to that, is my third oil that I would absolutely say use, because we know that it can help calm and relax. It's fantastic for anxiety. It works with what's called state or trait anxiety. So even if you're just naturally an anxious person, it's going to help relax you. And if you're struggling to sleep, lavender may be the oil to use to help just calm and relax you and get you into a better mode of sleep. Now, overall, when we're thinking about essential oils, they are generally safe. Most of the research that has come back with issues around the oils being dangerous relates to when you're pregnant and their ability to cross the placenta. So when research looks at essential oils, it's looking at, in terms of fertility, could it potentially alter the balance of the estrogen and the progesterone to have a contraceptive effect? So in a similar way to when you use the contraceptive pill, could these oils then stop follicular development or ovulation? And as of yet, there hasn't been any evidence found. So I would say when you're trying to conceive, generally you can use essential oils safely without concern. Other aspects that research has looked into is, could it potentially affect the cervical mucus and change that environment in terms of can the sperm actually survive and reach the egg? And again, this has not come back in terms of it having any potential effect in that area. So oils in terms of conception are not to be too worried about. Once you're getting into the time frame where you perhaps could be pregnant, or you're going through an IVF cycle and you definitely know that there is an embryo present, that's when you want to be more cautious. Also thinking about how you use the oil. So, I've talked about a lot of the research is high doses, and often the anecdotal evidence has been that the oils have been consumed orally. And this has gained some fashion, but it's really not a way of using the oils confidently and safely unless you're going to work with a fully trained, fully qualified professional who has spent, a great deal of time learning about essential oils. Then I wouldn't be confident. Somebody who's just selling oils as part of a MML scheme is not likely to have done the level of training that is required to confidently give you an essential oil to take orally to treat something. The second method of using the oils is often skin application. So I've talked about thinking about photosensitivity and, doing patch testing, blending with a base oil and putting it on an area and just seeing how it works with you and your skin. Now, this is an area where there can be issues in terms of when you're using it a lot all the time in high doses on your skin, it can build up within the system. And when we're thinking about fertility and conception, one of the things that you want to think about is what else is going into your body on top of those essential oils. Because quite often we are taking large amounts of supplements, we're taking hormonal medications, and there's a lot going into the body just from those things, and the environment sometimes that our body has to deal with. So research has shown that the body, the liver, has a very good ability in terms of detoxifying oils from the body, even if they have this toxic component. However, they can still cross the placenta. But if your liver is working very hard with things like nutritional supplements or herbal medicines, and then hormonal medications, and you then add in essential oils, if they're accumulating in your body by you applying them to the skin frequently or taking them orally frequently, the load that your liver is having to deal with is increasing. So it's not going to take those toxic elements out of the body quite as quickly. So I would caution skin usage. Spend some time researching, learning about an oil if you want to use it on your skin, to get an idea of what is the safe dosage range if I'm going to use it on my skin, if there is in fact one. So overall, the safest way that you can use essential oils within your home is within an atomizer that is going to create that mist and put them into your environment. And that's going to give you a low dose of essential oils, and you can confidently use those oils and think, I'm not being exposed to too high a level. One of the things that I have done to try and help you is I have put together blends specifically for IVF, but I also have blends that help with sleep, that help with headaches, tension, and nothing in my blends is of concern in terms of conception or pregnancy. So if you do want a little bit more of info around the blends, then you can click the link below and look into those. And I have also put together a little free resource to help you that just talks about all of the oils that do have toxic issues that you want to be concerned about and you maybe want to restrict or avoid, just so you've got that information in one place to make it helpful for you.